Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. The Trump administration took a big step today toward fulfilling a central campaign promise by endorsing an immigration reform bill crafted by Senators Tom Cotton and David Perdue. The bill would sharply restrict immigration based simply on family reunification and instead give priority to immigrants who have skills, who speak English, who might help the country. It would also cut future legal immigration by 50%, bringing the number closer to historic levels. It would also abolish something called the diversity lottery. Oh, the White House press corps hated it. Polling shows the public liked it. The White House rolled it out today in the briefing room, and there was quite an exchange. Watch this interchange between Stephen Miller, the White House top policy advisor, and Jim Acosta of CNN, who started off by implying this bill somehow, for reasons he didn't quite explain, must be racist. Watch.
This whole notion of, well, they could learn, they have to learn English before they get to the United States. Are we just going to bring in people from Great Britain and Australia?
Jim, actually, I have to honestly say, I am shocked at your statement that you think that only people from Great Britain and Australia would know English. It reveals your cosmopolitan bias to a shocking degree that in your mind, no, this is an amazing moment. This is an amazing moment that you think only people from Great Britain or Australia would speak English is so insulting to millions of hardworking immigrants who do speak English from all over the world. Jim, have you honestly never met an immigrant from another country who speaks English outside of Great Britain and Australia? Is that your personal experience?
Of course there are people who come.
But that's not what you said, and it shows your cosmopolitan bias. And I just want to say,
it sounds like you're trying to engineer the racial and ethnic flow of people into this country.
Jim, that is one of the most outrageous, insulting, ignorant, and foolish things you've ever said.
Ouch. Well, apparently undeterred, Jim Acosta rooted through his bag of cliches and came up with, presto, the old Statue of Liberty trick. What do you think of that, Stephen Miller?
The Statue of Liberty has always been
let me ask you a question.
Of hope to the world for people to send
do you believe
people to this country, and they're not always going to speak English, Stephen. They're not always going to be highly skilled. They're not always going to be
I appreciate your speech. Jim, I appreciate your speech, so let's talk about this.
It was a modest
Jim, let's talk about this. In 1970, when we let in 300,000 people a year, was that violating or not violating the Statue of Liberty law of the land? Tell me what years meet Jim Acosta's definition of the Statue of Liberty poem, Law of the Land. So you're saying 1 million a year is the Statue of Liberty number. 900,000 violates it, 800,000 violates it.
Well, you won't be surprised to learn that Acosta did not have a specific number in mind. Actually, even a general number to within, say, several hundred thousand. He had no idea at all, none. And yet he kept talking, which turned out to be a mistake.
We've had periods of very large waves, followed by periods of less immigration and more immigration. And during we've had
a period of immigration right now. The president wants to build a wall. You want to bring about a sweeping change to
surely,
the
Jim, you don't actually think that a wall affects green card policy. You couldn't possibly believe that, do you? Actually, the notion that you actually think immigration is at a historic law. The foreign-born population in the United States today,
with the
Jim,
new chief of staff on Monday talking about how border crossings.
Do you really? I want to be serious, Jim. Do you really at CNN not know the difference between green card policy and illegal immigration?
We can answer that question. No, they don't know the difference. Jim Acosta and the network he works for don't know much at all about this subject. They don't know how many immigrants come here every year or how. They don't have any clue as to how many should come, ideally. They know very little about the economic effect those immigrants have on Americans who already live here because they don't care enough to find out. They're utterly ignorant on the subject of immigration, and yet, and here's the amazing part, they are still filled with absolute moral certainty and boundless self-righteousness. They are buffoons, in other words, the drunk guy at the party with bad breath who won't stop talking. Wow, is that embarrassing.